Have you ever felt it? That moment when someone who once seemed distant, cold, and untouchable suddenly goes quiet, not out of avoidance, but because something deep within them has started to move. There is a sacred silence before every awakening, and within that silence the divine masculine, long frozen inside armor made of logic, pride, and duty, begins to stir. For centuries, the masculine energy has been misunderstood. It has been praised for its strength, its power, its control. But it has also been burdened by the weight of expectation, to lead, to fix, to conquer, to never show pain. And so, little by little, the masculine forgot how to feel. He built walls brick by brick, to protect a heart that once loved so purely. He became the warrior, the provider, the achiever. But in doing so, he drifted further and further away from his soul. We often think of awakening as a burst of light, a sudden realization. But for the divine masculine, it is rarely so gentle. It begins with a collapse, a moment when everything he once believed in, his purpose, his success, his pride, starts to lose meaning. Have you noticed how many men or masculine energies seem to reach a breaking point in silence? They withdraw, they overthink, they try to solve emotions like equations. But the heart is not something to be solved, it's something to be felt. This is where the divine masculine's awakening truly begins. Not in glory but in surrender. Not in triumph but in loss. There was once a time when the masculine ruled the world through power. The age of war, of conquest, of domination. The feminine was silenced, suppressed, forgotten. But energy cannot be destroyed, only buried. And the feminine, patient and eternal, waited. As the world shifted, as hearts began to break open, the feminine started to rise again. She began to heal her wounds, to reclaim her intuition, her softness, her truth. And when she did, something miraculous happened. Her healing became the mirror through which the masculine could finally see himself. You see, the twin flame journey is not about romance. It is about remembrance. When one twin, often the feminine energy, chooses healing over pain, the other, often the masculine, can no longer run from his own reflection, because their souls are made of the same light. So when she cries and releases, when she forgives and lets go, when she stops chasing, the energy between them changes. Her peace becomes the seed of his awakening. That is when the divine masculine begins to feel again. He doesn't understand it at first. He may feel restless, lost, even angry. He may wake up one day and realize that the life he built no longer fits. The job, the relationships, the routines, all of it feels hollow. This confusion is not failure. It is rebirth. Because the moment the heart begins to question, the soul begins to remember. But why was the divine masculine frozen in the first place? Why did he choose logic over love, control over connection? The truth lies in generations of conditioning. From boyhood he was told, "Don't cry. Be strong. Don't show weakness. Be the man everyone can rely on." And so he buried every tender part of himself. He learned to love by protecting, not by feeling. He learned to survive by building walls, not by opening doors. He learned to lead by doing, not by being. Over time, that conditioning created a deep disconnection not just from women, but from the feminine energy within himself. He forgot that vulnerability is not weakness. It's truth. He forgot that surrender is not defeat. It's divine trust. He forgot that the heart is the compass of the soul, not the mind. Now, as the divine feminine heals, she radiates a frequency of unconditional love. And that love pierces through his armor, not to wound him but to wake him. It reminds him of something ancient, something buried. The feeling of safety and softness, the power in stillness, the truth in tears. When the divine masculine begins to awaken, it rarely looks graceful. He might pull away, isolate, question everything. He may resist the call of the heart because the mind screams louder. He's afraid, not of losing control, but of losing the self he built around it. But every resistance has a limit. And when the heart finally breaks open, the floodgates of emotion rush in: grief, guilt, longing, love. It is overwhelming, raw, disorienting, and yet profoundly cleansing. He begins to see the truth. That control was never safety. That domination was never power. that love was never weakness. He starts to understand that the feminine he once pushed away was never his enemy. She was the mirror guiding him home. There is a moment in every awakening when silence becomes sacred. The divine masculine withdraws not to escape, but to listen, perhaps for the first time, to the voice beneath the noise. It whispers, "You are not your achievements. You are not your failures. You are not the mask you wear to survive." He begins to realize that true strength is not in fighting battles, but in having the courage to put the sword down, to open the heart, to feel again. That's the moment the divine masculine returns. To the heart. Not to conquer but to protect. Not to prove but to embody. Not to dominate but to love deeply, consciously, divinely. And if you've ever been the divine feminine on this journey, you may have felt his silence. You may have mistaken it for rejection. But in truth, he wasn't leaving you. He was meeting himself. Every awakening begins with a retreat. The butterfly must first dissolve inside the cocoon before it can fly. And that's where many divine masculines are right now. In the sacred void between destruction and rebirth, they are learning to forgive themselves, to trust their intuition, to see that vulnerability is power, and that love, real love, begins with presence, not perfection. As the masculine awakens, the world changes, because every man who opens his heart creates a ripple that heals generations. Every father who chooses empathy over ego rewrites the future of his children. Every partner who listens instead of controlling restores balance to the collective field. The awakening of the divine masculine is not just personal. It is planetary. It is the return of integrity, compassion, and truth. It is the end of separation between mind and heart, between doing and being, between power and love. And maybe, just maybe, that is why you are here. Because you too carry that sacred spark within. Whether you identify as masculine or feminine, there is a divine masculine inside you waiting to rise. Not through dominance, but through devotion. So tonight, as you listen to this message, close your eyes for a moment and feel the part of you that longs to act, to protect, to build, but also to love, to heal, to connect. That is the divine masculine awakening within you. And as he returns to the heart, the world takes one step closer to harmony. Because when the masculine awakens, he doesn't destroy the old world. He rebuilds it with love. They say the greatest prisons are not built of steel, but of thoughts. The invisible walls we build inside our own minds. For the divine masculine, this truth is painfully real. Because long before he ever built empires or carried swords, he built a fortress around his heart. One made of logic, control, and silence. You might have seen it in his eyes. That quiet calculation. That need to understand, to define, to predict. He trusts what he can see, what he can measure, what he can control. But emotions, the unseen, the fluid, the unpredictable, they terrify him. And so he learned to live inside his head. To analyze instead of feel. To plan instead of trust. To fix instead of flow. But what he didn't realize was that the mind, for all its brilliance, is a cage without compassion. Can organize the world, but it cannot embrace it. It can calculate love, but it cannot receive it. 1. The birth of the cage. From childhood, the divine masculine was taught that the mind is strength. Be rational. Don't cry. Emotions make you weak. So he learned early that feeling was dangerous, that showing softness would invite shame. He admired those who never flinched, who hid pain behind smiles, who kept moving forward no matter what. That became his template for survival. Not authenticity, survival. When he hurt, he didn't cry. When he feared, he didn't share. He compartmentalized, suppressed, and soldiered on. Each unspoken word, each buried tear, became another brick in the wall around his heart. And with each layer, the distance between mind and soul grew wider. He didn't know that this very wall, the one he built to feel safe, was the same wall that kept him from feeling alive. 2. The control illusion. The frozen masculine believes control equals power. He thinks, if I can manage everything, nothing can hurt me. And yet, control is a paradox. Because the tighter you grip life, the more it slips through your fingers. He controls conversations so he won't be misunderstood. He controls outcomes so he won't fail. He controls people not from malice but from fear. Fear of chaos. Fear of rejection. Fear of vulnerability. But love does not thrive in control. Love asks for surrender. Love says, let go. And the masculine in his frozen state whispers back, I can't. He doesn't realize that surrender isn't the opposite of strength. It is strength in its purest form, because to surrender means to trust life, to trust the unknown, to trust the divine feminine energy that flows like water through the cracks of his armor. 3. The rational mind versus the intuitive heart. For centuries, the masculine has been trained to worship the mind. The mind builds, organizes, conquers, and indeed those gifts are sacred. But without the heart, the mind becomes tyrannical. It serves itself, not the soul. That's why so many masculine energies find success yet feel empty. They reach the top of the mountain and whisper, why do I still feel lost? Because no matter how far the mind climbs, it cannot replace the simple peace of being connected to the heart. The divine feminine energy within, intuitive, emotional, fluid, is what gives the masculine direction beyond ambition. She whispers, there's more than achievement. There's meaning. But the frozen masculine often ignores that voice, because it sounds too soft, too uncertain. He fears that if he listens, he'll lose himself. But the truth is, if he doesn't listen, he already has. 4. The twin flame mirror. And so, the universe sends him a mirror. His twin flame, the embodiment of the feminine essence he's forgotten. She enters his life like a storm wrapped in grace. She doesn't ask him to think. She makes him feel. She looks into his eyes and sees the soul behind the mask. For a moment he feels safe. Until he doesn't. Because love from the feminine isn't comfortable. It's awakening. It melts the armor, challenges the ego, exposes the cracks. And the frozen masculine, terrified of losing control, often runs. He runs not because he doesn't care, but because he cares too much. And caring means feeling. And feeling means losing the one illusion that has protected him, that he's in control. But no matter how far he runs, the reflection follows. Because you cannot outrun your own soul. 5. The mind begins to crumble. Eventually, the logic that once protected him starts to collapse under its own weight. He begins to question everything. Why am I here? What is this longing I can't explain? Why does she still live inside my heart, even when I try to forget? The mind cannot answer these questions, because they don't come from the mind, they come from the soul. This is when the masculine enters the dark night of the mind. It's the moment when reason fails, when success feels meaningless, when the future no longer inspires him. He starts to sense something, calling from deep within, a voice he silenced long ago. It says, come home. Not home to a place, but to himself. 6. The fear of feeling. Still, the frozen masculine resists, because feeling means reliving every pain he has ever hidden, the grief of childhood, the shame of failure, the heartbreaks, the regrets, the unspoken apologies. So he numbs with work, distractions, or silence. But no matter how much he distracts himself, the heart always finds a way to be heard. It speaks through dreams, through restlessness, through sudden tears he cannot explain, through the ache of missing someone without knowing why. The feminine within and without keeps knocking gently, reminding him, you can't think your way into healing. You have to feel your way through it. 7. The breaking point. Every soul reaches a breaking point, the moment the cage of the mind can no longer contain the power of the heart. For the divine masculine, that moment often comes through loss. A relationship that ends, a dream that collapses, a silence that becomes too heavy to bear. In that emptiness, something extraordinary happens. The ice begins to melt. The tears, once forbidden, finally fall. And with every tear, a lifetime of pain dissolves. He realizes that the heart was never his enemy. It was his compass. It had been waiting all along for him to listen. 8. The return of balance. When the divine masculine allows himself to feel, the world within him shifts. Suddenly, the mind and the heart are no longer at war. They become allies. The mind gives clarity. The heart gives wisdom. Together, they guide him toward his true purpose. Not one built on ego or competition, but on love and creation. He begins to act not from fear, but from alignment. Not from the need to prove, but from the desire to serve. This is the beginning of balance. The reunion of the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine within. 9. The gift of the fall. It's easy to see the frozen masculine as broken, but in truth, his frozen state was never failure. It was preparation. Every wall he built, every silence he endured, was part of the soul's journey back to remembrance. Because only by forgetting love can we truly understand its value when we find it again. The fall is not the end. It's the awakening disguised as loss. It's the divine masculine being stripped of all false strength, so he can rise in his true power, the power of the heart. 10. A whisper from the soul. If you are listening to this and recognize yourself, know this: your mind is not your enemy. It only became the cage because it was afraid. But the door has always been open, and all it takes is one choice: to breathe, to feel, to trust. Let the mind serve the heart, not silence it. Let your logic protect love, not replace it. Let yourself be guided not by fear, but by faith. Because when the mind softens and the heart reclaims its throne, the divine masculine is no longer frozen. He becomes what he was always meant to be: the guardian of love, the protector of truth, the builder of light. And in that moment, the cage disappears. Because freedom was never outside of him. It was always within. Have you ever noticed how a single presence can change everything? One look, one word, one gesture, and suddenly the world feels different. This is the power of the divine feminine. Not because she controls or commands, but because she heals. And in her healing, the divine masculine cannot remain untouched. In the journey of twin flames, this is the sacred law of reflection. The feminine heals, the masculine feels. 1. The feminine as mirror. The feminine does not heal for herself alone. She carries the energy of generations of collective wounds, of suppressed intuition. When she chooses to open her heart, she becomes a mirror reflecting what the masculine has long hidden from himself. Have you ever met someone who seems calm, whole, radiant, and felt suddenly raw inside? That is the mirror effect. The divine masculine sees her strength, her softness, her vulnerability, and is forced to confront what he has denied in himself. He sees the parts of himself he buried under logic, control, and fear. And this is uncomfortable, because reflection is never neutral. It asks the question, who are you, when no one is watching? 2. The feminine heals herself first. Healing does not mean fixing someone else. It does not mean rescuing, controlling, or changing. Healing means returning to your own heart. The feminine learns to love herself, to embrace her past, to honor her pain, to forgive herself for every time she denied her own light. And when she does this, something remarkable happens. Her energy radiates outward. The masculine cannot remain frozen in his armor. Her healing pierces the walls he has built. Her presence awakens dormant feelings he didn't know existed. Her forgiveness whispers into the spaces where guilt once lived. This is why twin flames can feel so intense, so destabilizing, so transformative. Because one soul's courage to heal becomes the other soul's catalyst to awaken. 3. The masculine feels through the feminine. The divine masculine may not recognize it at first. He may feel restless, confused, or even frustrated. He may ask himself, why do I feel so much when nothing has changed? It is because the feminine is acting as a mirror, not reflecting the world as it appears, but reflecting the soul as it is. Her calm exposes his chaos. Her joy highlights his numbness. Her courage stirs his fear. And in this reflection, the masculine is given a choice: remain frozen in the cage of the mind, or step into the vulnerability he has long avoided. For love is the catalyst. You see, love itself is the most powerful form of mirror. It cannot be faked, forced, or ignored. When the feminine embodies love, not conditional, not transactional, but pure and sovereign, The masculine cannot help but feel. It is not about chasing her. It is not about impressing her. It is about witnessing, sensing and remembering the love he once knew as a child, the love he once denied himself, the love he longed for but never recognized. And this is when the transformation begins. The heart that was hidden behind logic begins to flutter. The frozen, guarded soul begins to melt. He starts to understand that love is not something to win. It is something to embody. 5. Examples of the mirror effect. Consider this. A woman learns to speak her truth without fear of judgment. She no longer tolerates lies or manipulation. She holds her boundaries with clarity and grace. The masculine feels unsettled. Why? Because he may have relied on confusion, fear, or control to navigate his relationships. Her authenticity reflects his avoidance. Her integrity shines light on his compromises. Or imagine, a woman embraces her passion, her purpose and her joy. She celebrates herself without apology. The masculine sees this, and something within him awakens. He feels inspired but also challenged. He remembers his own suppressed desires. He questions why he settled for anything less. In every example, the feminine is not doing anything to him. She is simply being herself. And in being herself, she is awakening what was always there. 6. The pain of awakening. This mirror effect is not always comfortable. In fact, it can be painful. The masculine may feel triggered. He may feel guilt, shame, or regret. He may lash out, withdraw, or even resist. But pain is a necessary part of awakening. It signals that the soul is being activated. It is the inner echo of what has long been ignored. Sometimes he will ask, why does her peace make me feel so restless? Why does her love expose my emptiness? Why do I ache when she does not even look at me? These questions are not failures, they are invitations. Invitations to feel, to surrender, to remember the love that was always his birthright. 7. Awakening through presence. The feminine does not have to fix or explain. Her presence alone is enough. A soft glance, a gentle word, a compassionate silence. These are more powerful than any lecture, argument, or reasoning, because the masculine feels the energy before he understands it. He may not be able to articulate it at first. He may not even trust it. But the energy speaks directly to his soul. It reminds him of what he forgot, how it feels to be safe, loved, seen, and valued. And slowly the walls begin to shift. The ice begins to thaw. The heart that was frozen begins to open. 8. The role of emotional safety. It is crucial to understand. The masculine awakens not through force, but through emotional safety. When the feminine creates a space where he can feel without judgment, where he can express without shame, where he can stumble without fear, he begins to remember that vulnerability is strength. He begins to practice courage not on the battlefield, but in the sanctuary of the heart. He learns to stand without armor, to protect without aggression, to act without fear. And in this safety, love blossoms. Not the kind of love that demands, but the kind of love that supports, nurtures, and inspires. 9. The awakening is mutual. While the feminine's healing triggers the masculine, the awakening is never one-sided. The masculine's response also mirrors back to the feminine. When he begins to feel, to open, to protect, she receives confirmation that her own healing has power. Her courage, her compassion, her authenticity, all find resonance in him. The journey becomes a dance, not of dominance or submission, but of reflection and growth. Every step she takes forward nudges him closer to himself. Every moment he feels and responds validates her sovereignty and strength. Together they awaken. Together they remember. 10. The call to awareness. If you are witnessing this process, if you are the feminine or the masculine, know that every challenge, every trigger, every mirror is sacred. Do not fear reflection. Do not resist the mirror. It is not there to punish, control, or shame. It is there to awaken, illuminate, and liberate. Ask yourself, what am I hiding from myself? What am I afraid to feel? How can I allow love to guide me instead of fear? Because the healing of one is the awakening of the other. The divine masculine cannot awaken without the feminine's reflection. The feminine cannot fully rise without the masculine's recognition. And in this sacred interplay, the soul remembers its origin, love, unity, and divine purpose. The mirror effect of twin flames is profound. The feminine heals, the masculine feels, and together they awaken a new consciousness. It is not instantaneous. It is not always comfortable. It is not predictable. But it is inevitable. Because the soul remembers. The soul calls. The soul awakens. And one day, the divine masculine will feel so fully, exo-consciously, and love so profoundly, that the world around him will change, simply because he has finally returned to his heart. Have you ever noticed subtle shifts in someone's energy? The kind of shifts that don't announce themselves loudly, but make the air feel warmer, the space feel safer, and the heart feel lighter? This is the language of the awakening divine masculine. It does not always arrive with dramatic gestures. It begins quietly, almost imperceptibly, in small choices, gentle words, and moments of unexpected presence. Today we will explore the signs that the divine masculine is returning to his heart, leaving behind resistance and moving toward alignment with his true self. 1. From withdrawal to presence. One of the first signs of awakening is the subtle shift from withdrawal to presence. For a long time, the masculine may retreat when confronted with deep emotions. He isolates, he analyzes, he hides. But slowly he begins to show up. Not perfectly, not always fully, but enough to be seen, heard, and felt. Perhaps he calls without a reason. Perhaps he listens without interruption. Perhaps he simply sits beside you, letting silence speak louder than words. Presence is the first doorway into the heart. It signals that the mind, once a cage, is now willing to make space for the soul. 2. From defense to vulnerability. The frozen masculine often interprets vulnerability as weakness. It is frightening to reveal what has been hidden for years, to show the wounds that have shaped every decision. But as awakening unfolds, the defenses begin to soften. The masculine may share feelings he once buried, admit mistakes he once denied, or allow himself to cry in ways he once thought forbidden. Vulnerability is not chaos. It is courage. It is the unmistakable sign that he is opening the door to his heart and choosing authenticity over perfection. Have you noticed moments when someone who was once stoic suddenly pauses, reflects, and shares without pretense? That is the divine masculine letting the heart lead, even when the mind wants to resist. 3. From control to trust. Control has been a constant companion for the frozen masculine. He believes that by orchestrating outcomes, he can protect himself and those he loves. Awakening shifts this paradigm. He begins to trust in life, trust in the process, trust in the divine feminine and in his own intuition. This doesn't happen overnight. It may be a hesitant, shaky trust. He may take small steps, relinquishing control in tiny ways, letting the flow of life guide him rather than forcing it. Notice when he allows plans to unfold without rigid insistence, or when he makes space for the unexpected. Trust is the invisible sign that the masculine is aligning with his higher self. 4. From reactivity to emotional intelligence. One of the clearest indicators of awakening is a shift from reactivity to reflection. The frozen masculine reacts: anger, frustration, impatience, criticism. But as the heart awakens, reactions become responses. He pauses, reflects, and chooses his words and actions consciously. Emotional intelligence is not about controlling feelings, but about navigating them with awareness. He begins to understand that every trigger is an opportunity to examine the past, release judgment, and grow. When you notice him responding instead of reacting, when he listens to understand rather than to reply, this is a subtle yet profound signal of the heart opening. 5. From resistance to collaboration. A frozen masculine often perceives relationships as arenas of negotiation, or even battles of dominance. He seeks to prove, to win, to assert control. Awakening transforms this perspective. He starts to see connection as partnership. He values collaboration over competition, co-creation over conquest. Perhaps he compromises not out of obligation, but because he recognizes the shared path. Perhaps he seeks alignment rather than victory. Perhaps he honors boundaries and listens with genuine curiosity. This shift from resistance to collaboration marks a key step in his soul's return to purpose. The purpose of protecting, supporting, and nurturing, not controlling. 6. From silence to expression. The frozen masculine often struggles with communication. Words feel heavy, vulnerability feels risky, and silence becomes the default. As he awakens, he discovers the power of expression. Not grandiose speeches, but authentic words that reflect the heart. He speaks what matters even if imperfectly. He shares his thoughts, his feelings, his desires, his fears. Expression is not just about speaking. It is about connection, presence, and intimacy. The masculine who opens his heart communicates from soul to soul, bridging the gap that once seemed insurmountable. 7. From self-focus to service. The frozen masculine often prioritizes his own survival, ambition, or comfort. But awakening shifts attention outward. He begins to act in service, not from guilt, obligation, or ego, but from a genuine desire to contribute, protect, and uplift. This might appear in small acts of kindness, in thoughtful gestures, in consistent support, or in moments of profound integrity. Service is a reflection of alignment, the masculine stepping into his true role as guardian, provider, and anchor. It signals that his heart is awake, not just for himself but for the greater good. 8. From fear to courage. Awakening is inseparable from courage. The divine masculine faces the fears that once defined him. Fear of failure, fear of intimacy, fear of being vulnerable. Courage is no longer about fighting the world. It is about standing in truth, even when it is uncomfortable. It is about speaking the unspeakable, feeling the unfeelable, loving the unlovable. Starting with oneself. Notice the moments when he chooses heart over habit, presence over avoidance, truth over comfort. These are subtle but undeniable signs that his soul is reclaiming sovereignty. 9. From isolation to connection. A frozen masculine often isolates as a protective mechanism. He may believe he is self-sufficient, that he must bear burdens alone, that emotions are weaknesses to hide. As the heart awakens, isolation gives way to connection. He seeks meaningful relationships, authentic conversations, and soulful intimacy. He begins to understand that connection is not weakness. It is the source of strength, creativity, and purpose. When you notice him engaging sincerely, reaching out without expectation, or offering support with authenticity, this is a clear sign that the heart is leading the way. 10. From duty to purpose. Finally, the ultimate sign of alignment is a shift from duty to purpose. The frozen masculine acts because he must. He fulfills obligations because society expects it. The awakened masculine acts because he chooses to. He recognizes that his talents, energy, and presence are tools for creation, for protection, for love. Every decision, every action is guided by purpose, rooted in heart, not ego. This is the divine masculine fully returned, integrated, present, awake, and aligned with his soul's mission. He no longer fights to prove himself. He no longer controls to feel safe. He lives in harmony with life, love, and truth. The awakening of the divine masculine is subtle yet powerful. It is visible not in grand displays, but in the quiet shifts, the small gestures, the internal changes that ripple outward. From resistance to alignment, from fear to courage, from control to trust, from isolation to connection, the heart gradually reclaims its throne. And when this happens, the masculine does more than awaken for himself. He awakens for those around him. He becomes the anchor, the protector, the co-creator. He becomes a force of love that radiates beyond his own life. So watch for the signs. Honor the subtle shifts. Celebrate the quiet courage. Because the divine masculine, when he opens his heart, does not just return to the feminine. He returns to his truest self, and the world becomes brighter because of it. The path of the divine masculine has always been marked by action. He was taught to fight, to conquer, to survive. Strength was measured in victories. Courage was measured in battle. But what if all that fighting, all that striving, all that controlling was only the first chapter of a greater story. The awakening of the heart transforms the warrior into something more. A guardian, a protector, a soul aligned with divine purpose. Not because the fight disappears, but because the fight now has meaning beyond ego, fear, or survival. 1. The warrior mindset. For much of his life, the masculine has lived as a warrior. He protects what he values, defends what he believes, and battles for survival. This mindset is not inherently wrong. It is powerful, disciplined, and necessary at times. Yet, when the heart is frozen, this power can become misdirected. The warrior fights endlessly, often against shadows of his own making. Fear, anger, pride, and the ghosts of unhealed wounds. He may achieve, succeed, and even dominate, but the soul remains incomplete, the heart remains untouched. He becomes the hero of a story he cannot fully see, the fighter without purpose, the protector without true connection. 2. The call to transition. The transformation begins with a call, subtle at first, a whisper in dreams, a nudge in the chest, a longing he cannot name. It may arrive as restlessness, an emptiness he cannot fill with achievements, possessions, or control. It may arrive as love, the quiet, insistent presence of a feminine energy, who does not demand but simply is. This call asks the question, what if my strength could serve something greater than myself? What if my fight could become protection instead of aggression? What if my power could be used to nurture rather than dominate? The call is the invitation to step out of the battlefield of ego and into the sanctuary of the heart. 3. Understanding true strength. The awakening masculine begins to understand a subtle truth. Strength is not measured by conquest, but by the ability to hold space, to support, to protect without control, to act with clarity rather than impulse. True strength is calm. It is patient. It is steady like a mountain, unshaken by storms, yet flexible like the roots that bend with the wind. This strength does not seek validation. It does not shout or prove itself. Simply is. And in its quiet power, it inspires trust, respect, and love. 4. From protection of self to protection of others. The frozen masculine has long focused on self-preservation, but the awakened masculine turns outward. He becomes the protector of not only those he loves, but of ideals, of truth, of life itself. He learns to fight not for ego or control, but for safety, stability, and harmony. This may manifest in small ways: listening deeply, supporting without judgment, standing by someone in silence when words fail. It may manifest in large ways: leading with integrity, defending the vulnerable, serving the greater good. The shift is subtle but profound. He is no longer a warrior merely fighting, but a guardian choosing what is worth protecting. 5. The role of the heart in guardian energy. The guardian is not a mind without emotion, nor is he a heart without boundaries. The awakened masculine learns to integrate both. He feels deeply yet acts with discernment. He listens with compassion, yet maintains clarity. He loves fully, yet does not lose himself in attachment. This is the alchemy of the guardian: strength tempered by tenderness, courage guided by conscience, power grounded in love. The divine feminine reflects this back. She sees him evolve and feels the energy of his heart, the protective, steady force that nurtures, supports, and inspires. 6. The feminine as catalyst for purpose. The awakening of the guardian is never separate from the feminine. She acts as both mirror and catalyst, her presence illuminating the path, her energy igniting the dormant courage within. She does not command. She does not direct. She heals, she loves, she trusts, and in doing so, awakens the masculine's true purpose. The guardian rises not from fear of loss, but from reverence for life, love, and connection. The warrior survives. The guardian thrives. 7. Recognizing signs of guardian energy. How can you recognize when the masculine has stepped into this role? Here are subtle yet profound signs. He listens without judgment. He stands for others even when no one is watching. He prioritizes integrity over convenience. He expresses strength without aggression. He nurtures without expecting reward. The shift is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is a gentle glance, a quiet word of support, a calm presence in moments of chaos. But the impact is undeniable. Those who witness it feel safe, inspired, and valued. 8. From ego to soul alignment. The guardian operates from alignment, not ego. Ego seeks recognition, reward, and control. Soul alignment seeks purpose, service, and love. The awakening masculine learns to act from this deeper truth. What matters is not how he is seen, but the intention behind his actions. He protects not for praise, but because it is the natural expression of his heart. This is a crucial stage in the journey. He steps out of self-serving patterns and steps into a higher calling, one that resonates with the divine feminine, the soul, and the universe. 9. The power of co-creation. The guardian does not act alone. He thrives in partnership, in balance with the feminine, in alignment with shared values, and in service to a collective vision. Together, the masculine and feminine co-create a life of harmony, a space of love, a world in which both energies are honored, where protection, compassion, and creation coexist. The guardian recognizes that true leadership is collaboration, true strength is empathy, and true purpose is aligned with the heart. 10. The legacy of the divine masculine. The transformation from warrior to guardian leaves a profound legacy. Not a legacy of battles won, possessions acquired, or power asserted, but a legacy of love, courage, and conscious presence. He leaves a mark on the hearts of those he touches, on the lives he protects, and on the consciousness of the collective. The awakened divine masculine embodies the archetype of the true guardian, anchored in strength, guided by heart, aligned with purpose, and awake to love. And when the masculine and feminine energies harmonize, the world experiences a subtle yet powerful shift, a ripple of love, protection, and conscious creation that transforms reality itself. The journey from warrior to guardian is the ultimate expression of the divine masculine. It is not the absence of strength, but the presence of wisdom. It is not the absence of action, but the presence of intention. The guardian protects, nurtures, and inspires, not because he must, but because he has remembered his soul's purpose. If you are witnessing this transformation, in yourself, your partner, or the world around you, know that it is sacred, profound, and necessary. The divine masculine has always been powerful. Now he is conscious. He has returned to the heart, and the world is brighter for it. Awakening is just the first spark. It lights the path, but it does not illuminate it entirely. The divine masculine may open his heart. The divine feminine may rise in her power. But the true journey lies in alignment, in the art of living consciously together, in action, in presence, in love made manifest. Alignment is where the soul work becomes tangible. It is the bridge between internal transformation and external reality. It is where intentions meet choices, and where the heart's whispers guide the hands, the words, the life. 1. Alignment begins with self-mastery. The awakened masculine has begun to feel, to open, to protect. But alignment demands more than emotional awakening. It requires self-mastery. Self-mastery is not control, it is understanding. It is awareness of triggers, of shadows, of patterns repeated through generations. It is the ability to act consciously, not reactively. For the masculine, this may mean observing anger without lashing out. It may mean choosing patience over frustration. It may mean acknowledging fear without letting it dictate action. For the feminine, alignment is similar. It is the integration of power and softness, compassion and discernment, intuition and logic. Together, they must master themselves to master the connection. 2. Shared purpose emerges. Once the heart is awakened and the self is grounded, a new force emerges. Shared purpose. The divine masculine and feminine begin to recognize the sacred task of co-creation. Their union is no longer solely about personal fulfillment. It is about impact, about creating, inspiring, and contributing. Perhaps it manifests in nurturing a family. Perhaps it manifests in professional collaboration. Perhaps it manifests in community, art, or healing work. The key is intention. Each action is a reflection of the soul's desire to align with love, truth, and purpose. 3. Communication as alignment. Alignment is impossible without deep, conscious communication. The awakening masculine has learned to express, to listen, to hold space. But alignment demands more. Dialogue that transcends ego. Listening not just for words but for essence. Consider this: two souls sitting across from each other. They speak of dreams, fears, memories, and desires. Yet what matters most is not the words themselves, but the resonance behind them, the unspoken truth each heart hears. In this space, understanding grows. Trust deepens. Connection becomes a living, breathing entity, capable of sustaining challenges and expanding love. 4. Shadow integration. Awakening brings light, but alignment requires shadows. Every twin flame carries shadows. Unhealed trauma, suppressed emotions, old wounds, unspoken fears. Alignment is the courage to face these shadows together, to witness, acknowledge, and integrate them without judgment. For the masculine, it may mean admitting vulnerability, past mistakes, or unresolved anger. For the feminine, it may mean facing self-doubt, past betrayal, or fear of abandonment. Together, they become mirrors reflecting not only light, but the parts still needing love and attention. Integration transforms pain into wisdom, wounds into gateways of intimacy, and shadows into fuel for conscious action. 5. Emotional alchemy in action. Alignment transforms emotion into alchemy. The masculine learns to convert restlessness into focus, fear into courage, anger into protection, and desire into devotion. The feminine learns to convert doubt into clarity, anxiety into presence, hurt into compassion, and longing into empowerment. The relationship becomes a laboratory of soul growth, where emotions are not suppressed or projected, but transformed and harnessed for growth and love. This alchemy is subtle, yet profound. It turns ordinary moments into sacred rituals, small interactions into lessons of intimacy and respect. 6. Physical presence as energy alignment. Alignment is not purely mental or emotional. It is physical, energetic. The way they occupy space together becomes a dance of energy. The masculine exudes steadiness and protection. The feminine radiates openness and fluidity. Their energies synchronize, creating a rhythm of harmony. Notice how a simple gesture, a touch, a gaze, a shared breath, can communicate more than words ever could. Alignment is embodied. It is felt as a pulse, a vibration, a sacred resonance that extends beyond the individual. 7 choices reflect alignment. Every choice the awakened twin flames make reflects their level of alignment. Do they act from love or fear? Do they speak with intention or reaction? Do they honor each other's boundaries while pursuing shared goals? Do they show up consistently, not only when convenient but when necessary? Alignment is proven in action, not in theory. It is lived through decisions, commitments, and daily expressions of love. 8. Conflict as opportunity. Even in alignment, conflict arises. It is inevitable. But the awakened twin flames approach conflict differently. Instead of blaming, shaming, or avoiding, they use it as a mirror. Conflict becomes a teacher, revealing unhealed wounds, misaligned intentions, and moments where ego still interferes. In alignment, resolution is not about winning or being right. It is about understanding, compromise, and restoration of harmony. 9. The role of timing and patience. Alignment is a journey, not an event. The awakening may be sudden, but the integration and alignment unfold over time. The masculine may take steps forward and backward. The feminine may experience doubt or impatience. Patience becomes essential. Trust in the timing of the universe, in the soul's design, and in the sacred unfolding of the twin flame journey. Every moment of pause, every delay, every perceived setback is actually an invitation to deepen self-awareness and trust. 10. The transformation of life itself. When alignment is achieved, even partially, life itself transforms. Work, family, relationships, and purpose take on new meaning. The twin flames become beacons of conscious love, radiating energy that touches everyone around them. The masculine no longer fights just to survive. He acts with purpose, courage, and heart. The feminine no longer heals just to endure. She shines in love, power, and authenticity. Together, they model what conscious love looks like. balanced, intentional, compassionate, and powerful. Alignment turns existence into a sacred co-creation, where love is both the journey and the destination. The twin flame journey is a dance of awakening and alignment. Awakening sparks the heart. Alignment channels it into action. The divine masculine transforms from warrior to guardian. The divine feminine rises in sovereignty and healing. Together, they navigate shadows, communicate consciously, and co-create a life of meaning, love, and purpose. Remember, alignment is not perfection. It is presence. It is intention. It is conscious choice. As you witness or participate in this journey, ask yourself, how am I showing up? Am I acting from heart or habit? Am I awake, aware, and aligned with my soul's purpose? Because the power of twin flames is not in separation, nor in obsession, nor in struggle. It is in the sacred conscious union of hearts and souls, and in the transformative love that emerges when two awaken and align together. Awakening and alignment are profound, yet they are incomplete without embodiment. The moment when love is no longer abstract, no longer an idea or a dream, but a living, breathing, tangible reality. Embodied love is the stage where the divine masculine and feminine step fully into their power, where energy, intention, action, and heart converge. It is the alchemy of soul-level connection, the place where inner transformation begins to ripple outward, shaping the reality around them. 1. Understanding embodiment. What does it mean to embody love? It is not about words alone. It is not about declarations, promises, or intentions. Embodied love is reflected in action, presence, and energy. The masculine embodies love when he acts from courage, strength, and heart. He protects without controlling, supports without needing praise, and loves without fear. The feminine embodies love when she expresses authenticity, nurtures with clarity, and radiates energy that empowers others. She listens with intuition, acts with grace, and honors both self and other. Together, their energies intersect and merge, creating a resonance that transforms ordinary life into sacred experience. 2. The dance of energy. The divine masculine and feminine are not merely individuals. They are energetic forces. When aligned, their energies interact like a dance. Complementary, balanced, fluid, and powerful. The masculine brings groundedness, stability, and protection. The feminine brings flow, creativity, and nurturing. In moments of embodied love, this dance becomes visible in subtle ways. The warmth of a gaze, the synchrony of breath, the effortless exchange of care, presence, and understanding. Have you noticed how two people can communicate without words? That is the language of energy. It is felt in the heart, sensed in the body, and reflected in reality. 3. From intent to manifestation. Embodied love is where intention transforms into manifestation. The masculine and feminine, awakened and aligned, begin to co-create consciously. Every intention carries energy. Every action shapes reality. They may manifest abundance together through shared projects, creativity, or contribution to the community. They may manifest peace by holding space for each other, resolving conflicts consciously, and integrating shadows with compassion. They may manifest joy in shared laughter, mutual support, and playful connection. The law is simple. Energy directed by heart and purpose creates tangible reality. Embodied love is the conscious use of this law together. 4. Communication as co-creation. The way they communicate becomes an act of creation. Words are chosen with care, not to control or manipulate, but to express truth, intention, and support. Listening is elevated to a sacred practice. Every word, pause, and tone is acknowledged, not merely for content, but for emotional and energetic resonance. Disagreements become opportunities for co-creation, not battles to be won. Questions are asked to deepen understanding, not to provoke or dominate. Each interaction is a brushstroke in the masterpiece of shared reality. 5. Shadow work is mutual growth. Embodied love does not ignore shadows. It integrates them. Each twin flame carries unhealed wounds, pain from past relationships, childhood patterns, societal conditioning. In co-creation, shadows are no longer hidden or projected. They are reflected consciously, witnessed without judgment, and transformed into insight, empathy, and strength. The masculine may confront fears of inadequacy or failure. The feminine may face fear of abandonment or loss of power. Together, they transmute these shadows into pillars of support, using challenges as fuel for deeper intimacy and conscious growth. 6. Actions reflect inner alignment. Embodied love is measurable, not by promises but by actions. Does the masculine honor his word, protect with integrity, and show up consistently? Does the feminine express her truth, nurture authentically, and act from inner power? Each choice, each behavior becomes evidence of alignment. Embodied love is not performative. It is lived. It is tangible in daily acts of attention, care, and conscious presence. 7. Creating a shared vision. When the masculine and feminine embody love together, a shared vision emerges. They see beyond their individual needs, desires, and fears. They co-create goals that reflect soul-level purpose, the life they wish to manifest together, the impact they want to have on the world, the legacy of conscious love they leave behind. This vision is not rigid. It is fluid, allowing for growth and change. It is anchored in mutual respect, trust, and a commitment to coevolution. 8. Presence over perfection. Embodied love is not perfect love. It is conscious love. It is present in moments of imperfection, mistakes, and challenges. It recognizes that true power lies not in flawless performance, but in authenticity, accountability, and continued effort. The masculine may stumble in expression, yet continues to act with courage. The feminine may falter in patience, yet chooses understanding. Together, they learn that the journey matters more than the destination, and that love is not a static state, but an evolving practice. 9. Impact beyond the relationship. When the twin flames embody love, the ripple extends outward. The energy they generate transforms their environment, affects family, friends, colleagues, and communities. They model conscious partnership, teaching by example that strength and softness, power and compassion, independence and interdependence can coexist in harmony. Their co-created reality becomes a beacon, showing that love grounded in alignment, intention, and awareness can influence not only personal lives but collective consciousness. 10. Living as embodied soul partners. Embodied love is the final integration of awakening, alignment, and action. The masculine becomes fully present, protective, and purpose-driven. The feminine becomes fully empowered, nurturing, and intuitive. Together, they co-create reality not from fear, attachment, or ego, but from love, intention, and conscious choice. Every moment becomes sacred, every interaction, a reflection of soul-level intention, every challenge an opportunity to refine presence, energy, and alignment. They live as partners, co-creators, guardians, and healers. Their love is not limited to the relationship. It is a force that transforms themselves and the world. Embodied love is the culmination of the divine masculine and feminine journey. It is the living proof that awakening hearts, conscious alignment, and intentional action can transform reality. Ask yourself, are you embodying love in your own life? Are your actions, words, and energy aligned with your highest purpose? Are you co-creating reality with intention, presence, and heart? When the twin flames fully embody love, the world does not merely witness it. It feels it, responds to it, and is elevated by it. This is the power of embodied divine masculine and feminine energy. Not in theory, not in abstraction, but in living, conscious love that shapes the world. The journey of the divine masculine and feminine is not merely about personal growth, healing, or love. It is about something greater. It is about sacred union, a state in which two awakened souls merge in alignment, not to lose themselves, but to elevate each other and the world around them. Sacred union transcends romance, attachment, or desire. It is the convergence of purpose, energy, and consciousness. It is where love becomes a force of creation, transformation, and divine service. 1. Understanding sacred union. Sacred union is not perfection. It is not the absence of challenges or the presence of constant harmony. It is the conscious choice to exist together as whole beings, honoring individuality while creating a shared vision. It is the balance of strength and softness, action and reflection, giving and receiving. The divine masculine brings grounded protection, focus and courage. The divine feminine brings intuition, empathy and creative flow. Together, they create a field of energy that transcends duality, where love is both expansive and rooted, where purpose is both personal and collective. 2. The higher purpose emerges. As the twin flames align, their union begins to reveal a higher purpose. It may be subtle at first, a shared project, a vision, a mission that sparks passion in both hearts. It may be profound, a calling to heal, teach, create, or transform consciousness on a larger scale. The key is clarity. The union is not simply for comfort, companionship, or ego satisfaction. It is a partnership designed to manifest love, wisdom, and conscious impact. Ask yourself, what is the purpose of your connection? Does it serve your ego, or does it serve your soul? 3. Co-creation as sacred responsibility. Sacred union calls the twin flames to co-create consciously. This is not about planning, controlling, or predicting outcomes. It is about intentional action grounded in love, alignment, and integrity. The masculine may take action with strategic clarity, protecting the vision and ensuring stability. The feminine may nurture, inspire, and bring creative flow to amplify manifestation. Together, they become architects of reality, transforming their personal lives, communities, and even collective consciousness. Every decision, every word, every gesture carries weight, because sacred union is not only felt within the relationship, but radiates outward into the world. 4. Trust as the foundation. Sacred union cannot exist without trust. Trust in oneself, trust in the partner, trust in the timing and guidance of the universe. The masculine learns to trust his heart, not just his mind. He embraces vulnerability, knowing it does not diminish his strength. The feminine learns to trust her intuition, not just external validation. She steps into power, knowing that true love nurtures and respects boundaries. Together, trust becomes the foundation for deep intimacy, conscious collaboration, and shared purpose. 5. Integration of shadow and light. Sacred union requires embracing both shadow and light. No soul is without imperfections, fears, or past wounds. No connection is without challenges or misunderstandings. The awakened twin flames learn to witness each other's shadows without judgment, to support growth rather than fix, and to recognize that true intimacy requires presence with discomfort. In this process, shadows are transformed into opportunities for deep healing, and light becomes the guiding force that illuminates purpose, love, and co-creation. 6. The role of divine feminine in sacred union. The divine feminine is not passive. She is the energy of creation, intuition, and flow. She nurtures the masculine awakening by holding space, reflecting truth, and offering guidance. Her presence invites the masculine to step fully into his heart and purpose. Yet, she also awakens her own power in the process, learning to co-create, discern, and expand beyond old patterns. In sacred union, her energy is both independent and interdependent, free yet deeply connected, soft yet unwavering. 7. The role of divine masculine in sacred union. The divine masculine, awakened and aligned, becomes the guardian of the union. He protects without controlling, acts without forcing, and leads with integrity. His energy anchors the union, providing stability, direction, and courage. Yet, his awakening is not complete without honoring the feminine. He learns that true strength is measured not by domination, but by collaboration, empathy, and conscious presence. In sacred union, the masculine's energy is both powerful and gentle, firm yet compassionate, assertive yet receptive. 8. The alchemy of twin flame energy. Sacred union is the alchemy of masculine and feminine energies. When the energies merge consciously, they create a field of vibration that exceeds the sum of their parts. This alchemy manifests as enhanced creativity. Together they manifest visions that neither could achieve alone. Healing and transformation. Each partner reflects back unhealed areas for integration. Conscious influence. Their aligned energy positively affects relationships, communities, and collective consciousness. The alchemy is not static. It requires daily commitment, intentional action, and ongoing self-awareness. 9. Challenges as sacred lessons. Even in alignment, challenges remain. Ego, fear, and external pressures will test the connection. Yet these challenges are not obstacles, they are sacred lessons. The masculine may face moments of doubt, pride, or rigidity. The feminine may confront insecurity, impatience, or control patterns. Sacred union teaches that love is not about avoiding conflict, but about navigating it consciously, transforming tension into understanding, and resistance into growth. Each challenge deepens intimacy, strengthens trust, and reinforces purpose. 10. Embodying sacred union in daily life. Sacred union is not only spiritual, it is practical, embodied in daily life. It is found in small gestures, preparing a meal with love, listening with full attention, supporting a partner's dreams, honoring boundaries, showing gratitude. It is found in big gestures, building a life together, taking risks for shared purpose, facing challenges side by side, creating projects that serve a higher good. In every action, the twin flames reflect conscious, embodied love, a love that influences not only each other, but the world around them. Sacred union is the pinnacle of the twin flame journey. It is the convergence of awakening, alignment, and embodiment. It is the manifestation of conscious love, the integration of shadow and light, and the co-creation of reality in service of soul purpose. Ask yourself, are you living in sacred union with yourself? Are you ready to co-create consciously with your partner? Are your actions, intentions, and energy aligned with your highest purpose? The power of twin flames is not in separation or longing. It is in alignment, embodiment, and sacred co-creation. When the divine masculine and feminine unite in conscious purpose, love becomes a force of transformation, and life itself becomes a canvas for divine expression. The journey of awakening, alignment, and sacred union culminates in a profound truth. Twin flames are not here merely for themselves. Their connection carries a higher purpose, a soul mission that ripples far beyond the intimacy of their bond. When the divine masculine and feminine unite consciously, they no longer exist solely as individuals. They become catalysts of transformation, for each other, for their communities, and for the collective consciousness of the world. 1. Understanding the soul mission. A soul mission is not an abstract concept. It is the life purpose that emerges from the alignment of heart, mind, and energy. For the divine masculine, the mission may involve protection, leadership, and tangible action in the world. For the divine feminine, it may involve healing, creativity, and the nurturing of consciousness. Together, they amplify each other's purpose. The masculine's focus and drive channel the feminine's vision into tangible results. The feminine's intuition and energy inspire the masculine to act with wisdom, compassion, and integrity. The mission is not optional. It is the natural consequence of full alignment, a calling that arises when two awakened souls consciously co-create. 2. From personal to collective impact. The twin flame journey evolves from personal growth to collective transformation. Initially, the connection focuses on healing old wounds, awakening the heart, and creating mutual understanding. But as alignment deepens, the scope of influence expands. Every conscious action, every act of integrity, every demonstration of embodied love becomes a vibration that extends outward. Communities feel it. Families feel it. Strangers even are subtly impacted by the energy of their union. Have you ever noticed how certain couples or partnerships seem to radiate a presence that uplifts everyone around them? That is the energy of twin flame mission, the conscious embodiment of purpose and love. 3. Co-creation beyond ego. Soul mission cannot be accomplished through ego-driven action. The awakened masculine and feminine act from intention, not attachment. They do not seek recognition, control, or validation. Their motivation is higher: to serve, to create, to transform. Ego-driven action can mimic purpose, but it lacks resonance. True twin flame mission is fueled by aligned energy, mutual respect, and conscious co-creation. Together they ask, how can our love serve the greater good? How can our presence elevate, heal, and inspire. The answers shape the projects they undertake, the communities they touch, and the lives they transform. 4. Healing as a global contribution. Healing is one of the most potent aspects of twin flame mission. The divine masculine and feminine, fully aligned, become living examples of conscious love and integration. Their energy models emotional intelligence, self-mastery, and the art of navigating shadows with grace. By embodying this energy, they offer healing not through words alone, but through presence. Children witness respect and empathy. Communities witness cooperation and balance. Individuals are inspired to confront their own wounds, guided by the reflection of conscious love. Healing becomes a ripple effect, touching lives far beyond the relationship itself. 5. Creative manifestation. The twin flame mission often expresses itself through creation. Together, the masculine and feminine manifest ideas, projects, art, or initiatives that reflect their aligned vision. The masculine provides focus, structure, and action. The feminine provides vision, flow, and inspiration. Whether building a business, launching a community project, creating art, or teaching spiritual principles, their joint effort resonates with authenticity and purpose. Creative manifestation is more than achievement. It is a tangible reflection of soul alignment, where inner harmony translates into outer impact. 6. Leadership through service. Twin flames often find themselves in positions of leadership not by ambition but by alignment. The masculine leads with integrity, courage, and responsibility. The feminine guides with empathy, wisdom, and clarity. Together, they model conscious leadership that prioritizes service over power, connection over dominance, and collaboration over control. This is a subtle but profound form of world transformation, inspiring others to lead not from fear or ego, but from aligned heart and purpose. 7. Teaching through example. The highest form of twin flame contribution is teaching through example. Words alone are insufficient. It is the lived experience, the alignment, embodiment, and conscious co-creation that communicates truth. Couples may mentor, coach, or educate formally, but often the most powerful lessons are absorbed indirectly, through observing how they handle conflict, communicate, support each other, and honor themselves. The world learns from the visible integration of divine masculine and feminine energy. It sees that love does not require dominance, that power does not require aggression, and that partnership can be conscious, sacred, and transformative. 8. Navigating challenges as part of the mission. Even at the stage of soul mission, challenges persist. The external world tests alignment through obstacles, misunderstandings, and unexpected pressures. The internal world tests patience, humility, and emotional resilience. Yet these challenges are not barriers, they are catalysts. Each challenge strengthens the connection, deepens understanding, and refines the ability to co-create consciously. The mission requires courage, persistence, and unwavering commitment to alignment. It is a sacred responsibility, and it is not accomplished without effort and devotion. 9. The ripple effect of twin flame energy. The impact of aligned twin flames is not limited to immediate circles. Their energy extends across time and space, touching individuals who may never meet them. Art, ideas, healing work, and intentional projects carry the vibration of their love into the collective consciousness. This ripple effect transforms culture, communities, and consciousness itself. It demonstrates that personal transformation, when aligned with purpose, is inseparable from global impact. Every aligned action, every intentional gesture, every act of conscious love creates a wave that elevates the world. 10. Legacy of the soul mission. The ultimate realization of twin flame purpose is legacy. Legacy is not about wealth, fame, or recognition. It is about the energy left behind, the lessons modeled, the love shared, the inspiration sparked. The divine masculine and feminine, through alignment and conscious co-creation, leave behind a legacy of awakened love. They demonstrate that true power lies in presence, authenticity, and intentional action. Ask yourself, what legacy do you wish to leave? Are your actions, energy, and connection aligned with the soul mission you are meant to fulfill? The twin flame journey culminates not in attachment, not in longing but in contribution. Awakening opens the heart. Alignment channels energy and intention. Sacred union embodies love in action. Soul mission manifests transformation in the world. When the divine masculine and feminine operate together at this level, love becomes a force of creation. Healing, inspiration, and conscious change radiate far beyond the intimacy of the connection. This is the power of twin flames. Two awakened, aligned, and embodied souls co-creating reality, leaving a legacy that transforms lives, communities, and collective consciousness. The question remains for you. Are you ready to awaken, align, embody, and participate in the higher purpose of love? The journey awaits. The mission is calling. The journey of twin flames is more than a lifetime story. It transcends time, space, and even the limitations of the physical world. It is eternal, a flow of energy, lessons, and love that echoes across lifetimes. To understand this, we must expand our perception. The divine masculine and feminine are not simply roles or archetypes bound to a single existence. They are energies of the soul, timeless, expansive, and infinitely interwoven. This is the essence of the eternal flow, the recognition that awakening, alignment, sacred union, and soul mission are not confined to one life, but are part of a continuum of growth, evolution, and co-creation. 1. The timeless nature of twin flames. Twin flames meet across lifetimes, sometimes separated, sometimes converged, always learning, growing, and evolving. Perhaps in one lifetime the divine masculine was closed off, cautious, or controlling. The feminine, in turn, may have been wounded, overgiving, or constrained. Together, these experiences create a tapestry of lessons, patterns, and opportunities for growth. In each lifetime, roles may shift. The masculine may lead or follow. The feminine may guide or observe. Yet the essence of the connection remains, the magnetic pull of souls destined to awaken, align, and co-create. Ask yourself, can you feel the thread that ties your soul to another? Beyond time, beyond circumstance, beyond memory. 2. Continuity of energy. The eternal flow is the continuity of energy across lifetimes. Even when physical separation occurs, the energy persists, carries lessons, growth, and intention from one existence to the next. Past experiences are not forgotten. They are integrated. Old wounds transform into wisdom. Old patterns evolve into conscious choices. This is why the twin flame journey often feels familiar, even when it appears new. Recognition is not accidental. It is the resonance of shared energy across time. 3. Living consciously in the present. While the eternal flow encompasses past and future lifetimes, the present remains sacred. Embodiment of divine masculine and feminine energy is not theoretical. It is lived here now. Every action, every thought, every intention contributes to the continuum of the journey. Healing, alignment, and conscious co-creation are not merely preparation for future lifetimes. They are the living expression of the eternal flow. Presence becomes the bridge between lifetimes. By fully inhabiting this moment, the twin flames honor the past and influence the future. 4. Lessons beyond separation. Separation is a common theme in twin flame journeys. Often the divine masculine may retreat, protect, or close off, while the feminine awakens and grows. These separations are not failures. They are opportunities to deepen understanding, release attachment, and integrate lessons. Even in absence, energy flows. Healing continues. Growth persists. Separation teaches patience, trust, and self-mastery. It reminds both souls that the connection is eternal, not contingent on physical presence. 5. Repetition as refinement. Across lifetimes, patterns may repeat. Conflict, misunderstanding, or imbalance may reappear. But repetition is not punishment. It is refinement, the universe offering opportunities to resolve, evolve, and deepen alignment. The masculine may be challenged to open his heart fully, to trust and act with integrity. The feminine may be invited to honor her power, to embrace her intuition, and to release fear. Each iteration is a lesson in embodiment, co-creation, and conscious love. 6. Awakening as an ongoing process. Awakening is not a one-time event. It is a continuous unfolding. The divine masculine awakens in layers. First in protection, then in presence, then in purpose. The feminine awakens in layers. First in intuition, then in self-expression, then in co-creation. Together, their awakening is cyclical, dynamic and eternal. It is the process of moving from shadow to light, from separation to union, and from fear to love. This ongoing awakening fuels the eternal flow, ensuring that each lifetime carries growth, evolution, and deeper resonance. 7. Integration of timeless wisdom. The eternal flow provides access to timeless wisdom, memories of past lifetimes, lessons, and energy imprints. Inform present choices. Intuition becomes sharper, resonance stronger, and connection more profound. The masculine may sense when action aligns with soul purpose, even without conscious reasoning. The feminine may intuit the energy of the environment, guiding decisions that honor both self and the greater good. Through integration, the twin flames embody wisdom accumulated across existence, bringing clarity, purpose, and conscious influence to the present moment. 8. Co-creation across dimensions. The influence of aligned twin flames extends beyond the physical plane. Energy, intention, and love ripple into unseen dimensions. Healing occurs not only for themselves but for collective consciousness. Creative projects, acts of service, and conscious alignment resonate energetically, impacting lives across space and time. This is why some twin flames feel their mission is cosmic, their work metaphysical, and their love multidimensional. It is the recognition that the eternal flow is not confined to one body, one life, or one reality. 9. Transcending fear of loss or ending. The eternal flow liberates from fear, because the connection transcends lifetime. Separation or loss is temporary. Attachment loosens. Trust deepens. Love becomes unconditional, eternal, and non-possessive. The masculine and feminine learn to act from purpose rather than fear. They take risks, express vulnerability, and pursue aligned action, knowing that their souls are always connected, regardless of circumstance. 10. Living in alignment with eternal purpose. The ultimate expression of the eternal flow is alignment. Alignment with self, with the partner, with mission, and with the universe. Each moment becomes a choice. To act from ego or from heart. To resist or to surrender. To separate or to unify. When fully embraced, the eternal flow transforms the twin flames' existence into a living symphony. Each thought, action, and intention harmonizes with the soul's purpose. Love becomes infinite. Connection becomes sacred. Life becomes a co-creative, eternal journey. Ask yourself, are you living as if your soul's journey transcends this lifetime? Are your choices, actions, and energy aligned with the eternal rhythm of love, growth, and co-creation? The eternal flow reveals the grand truth of the twin flame journey. Love is eternal. Purpose is infinite. Union transcends time. The divine masculine and feminine are not merely partners in one lifetime. They are co-creators in a continuum of awakening, alignment, and sacred action. Every challenge, every lesson, every act of conscious love contributes to this eternal journey. Each heartbeat, each choice, and each connection is a note in the symphony of the soul. This is the legacy of the twin flame, an eternal flow of awakening, alignment, co-creation, and love that transcends all boundaries. The question remains, are you ready to step fully into the eternal flow? To awaken, align, embody, and co-create with purpose that transcends lifetimes? The journey is infinite, and it begins here now.